This Part 2, Episode 120. The Pill Tower was located in the center of Holy Pill City. This area was the one true holy ground in the hearts of countless numbers of alchemists. Due to Holy Pill City being filled with all sorts of people, the defenses in the inner region had become extremely tight, ready to deal with any sudden changes. Xiao Yan's group followed Elder Cheng as they walked through Holy Pill City for nearly half an hour, but they gradually arrived at the inner area. The noise significantly diminished when Xiao Yan's group stepped through a gate to the inner region. Usually, only those factions with a strong relationship with the Pill Tower or high-tier alchemists were allowed to stay in the inner region of the Holy Pill City. Hence, the quality within the inner region was completely different with that of the outer region. Xiao Yan's group lifted their heads after stepping into the inner region. Their eyes paused on the thing in the center of the inner region. 1,000-foot-tall black tower stood at that spot. It appeared just like a small mountain peak, giving one a towering and magnificent feeling. The top of the enormous tower penetrated through the cloud layer. At a glance, one was unable to see the peak. The cloud lingered over it, causing it to appear exceptionally mysterious. That is the Pill Tower, huh? As Xiao Yan looked at the sky-supporting pillar of a tower, even he could not help but reveal a face that was filled with amazement. Compared to this Pill Tower, the lightning tower he had seen back at the Wind Lightning Pavilion was like a little child standing at the feet of a giant man. Elder Cheng smiled and nodded. He brought Xiao Yan's group into the human traffic on the main road, walking to the Pill Tower. With Elder Cheng leading them, Xiao Yan's group passed through strict examination stations in an extremely smooth manner and entered the interior of the enormous Pill Tower. Elder Cheng first settled the little fairy doctor and the rest in after having entered the Pill Tower. After which, he led Xiao Yan as they hurried to the top levels of the enormous tower. It was a long while later before they stopped in front of an extremely spacious hall. Association head Xan Kongzi is inside. He and your teacher were good friends back then. You should be respectful when you meet him. Xiao Yan's face became serious. He nodded when he heard Elder Cheng's reminder. Elder Cheng only felt assured when he saw Xiao Yan nod his head. Elder Cheng tidied his clothes, took 2 steps forward, and respectfully pushed the door open. After which, he threw a look at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan slightly nodded and slowly entered. The large hall was filled with many bookshelves. At a glance, it gave one a disorderly feeling. Many different colored flames filled the hall. Under the mixture of these many colors of light, one would feel as though one was in a blurry dream state. Xiao Yan's footsteps gently landed on the stone floor. His eyes swept around before pausing in front of a bookshelf a moment later. A white-clothed, old man was carefully dusting the bookshelf. That white-clothed old man did not have the slightest aura seeping out of him. He appeared just like an extremely ordinary, old man. However, when Xiao Yan used his spiritual perception, he was startled to realize that the area in front of him was completely empty. The white-clothed, old man appeared as though he did not exist. "Ha ha, you must be Xiao Yan, right? That old fellow's eyesight really causes others to feel envious." The white-clothed, old man ceased dusting when Xiao Yan was respectfully standing a short distance behind him. An old voice filled with vicissitude suddenly resounded over the interior of the hall. Xiao Yan slowly raised his head upon hearing that elderly laughter. He coincidentally watched the white-clothed, old man slowly turn around. His hair was white, and his face was covered with deep wrinkles. Both of his eyes appeared tiny, being compressed by the wrinkles. However, his deep and unfathomable eyes contained a warm smile. Senior really knows how to joke. Xiao Yan cupped his hands together and respectfully spoke. "I am not joking. You have reached the high-grade 7th-tier alchemist level at such a young age. The number of people who can achieve this across the entire continent can be counted on one's fingers." The white-clothed old man's eyes swept back and forth over Xiao Yan as he warmly said, "The old me is called Xan Kongzi. If you do not mind, you can call me Old Xian. Back then, I was a close friend of your teacher, Yao Chen. It is not overboard for you to address me as such. In that case, this young fellow shall defer to your judgment." Hearing this, Xiao Yan was happy to do as he was told. He cupped his hands together and laughed. Xan Kongzi smiled. He placed the scroll in his hand onto the bookshelf before turning around and heading back to his study table. He said, "There is no need for you to feel that the matter of the profound Xian sect is a blotch on your skin. The current Holy Pill City is in a chaotic and tense period because of the matter of the pill gathering. If things turn into problems, they might hinder the pill gathering." Xiao Yan slightly nodded. The person from last night had hidden his aura and his appearance. My original self was not able to reach into that place. Therefore, I was unable to ascertain which honorable elder of the Hall of Souls he was. Xan Kongzi slowly apologized. He should be old Mu Gu. Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment before speaking. Oh. Xan Kongzi was a little stunned when he heard Xiao Yan's words. However, he did not appear too surprised. He nodded slowly and said, "No wonder he has come looking for you. It is that old fellow. These people from the Hall of Souls really do not allow one to feel a peace of mind. Is Yao Chen currently in the hands of the Hall of Souls?" Xan Kongzi's shriveled hands rubbed the surface of the table as he inquired. Xiao Yan pulled the corner of his mouth and immediately nodded. The old fellow always had a free and easy character. He usually does not like to form groups or factions. If he had listened to me back then and become a giant head of the Pill Tower, he would not have been targeted by the Hall of Souls. Xan Kongzi sighed. He said, "I will tell the others to pay more attention to this matter, and I will inform you if I have any information on Yao Chen." "Thank you, old Xian." Xiao Yan hurriedly thanked him. The Pill Tower's influence spread across the Central Plains region. If they were to help Xiao Yan's search, he would naturally be faced with a lot less trouble. Xan Kongzi waved his hand and said, "The Hall of Souls is considered a hidden enemy of my Pill Tower. Unimaginable amounts of alchemists are captured by them every year. However, the Pill Tower is unable to announce war with the Hall of Souls. This faction is far from what you can imagine." Xiao Yan quietly nodded. The Hall of Souls had been able to survive in the Central Plains for many years. This survival would naturally be impossible if the Hall of Souls did not possess some foundation. However, the thing that was beyond expectations was that even the Pill Tower was afraid of this mysterious faction. Creak! The door of the hall suddenly opened while Xiao Yan was contemplating the situation. Immediately, 3 figures slowly walked in. Xiao Yan turned his head, and surprise flashed across his eyes because the 2 people in front were surprisingly Cao Ying and the young lady from the Dan clan named Dan Chen. There was a black-clothed man behind Cao Ying and Dan Chen. His appearance was quite handsome, and he was chatting and smiling with Cao Ying and Dan Chen when he entered the hall. A badge was present on his chest. On it was 7 bright purple gold stars. Tier 7 high-grade alchemist. Cao Ying and Dan Xian had noticed Xiao Yang when he saw them. Some surprise also flashed across their faces. Clearly, they were surprised that Xiao Yang would appear in this place. "Teacher," Cao Ying slowly stepped forward and respectfully greeted Xan Kongzi. "Association Head Xan Kong. The 3 of you have also arrived, huh?" Xan Kongzi raised his head and smiled to the 3 of them. After which, his eyes slid back to Xiao Yang as he said, "This person is the champion of the 5 Great Clan Test, Xiao Yang. I think that all of you already know that. How can we not know? Mr. Xiao Yang's name has recently become a hot topic in Holy Pill City." Cao Ying covered her mouth and laughed in a lovely manner. Her enchanting and bewitching demeanor caused a fiery heat that was difficult to discover to flash across the eyes of the black-clothed man by her side. Xiao Yang was unconcerned with Cao Ying's words. He courteously smiled to the 3 of them. "Song Qing. I have already heard of the performance of Mr. Xiao Yang during the 5 Great Clans test. You really live up to your reputation now that we have met." The black-clothed man slowly stepped forward, extended his hand to Xiao Yang, and complimented him with a smile. "You have overpraised me." Xiao Yang smiled. Although this black-clothed man in front of Xiao Yang hid it well, Xiao Yang could still see faint resentment in the other party's eyes. The source of the animosity seemed to be due to Cao Ying. This which really could bring disaster to a country and its people. Xiao Yang could only bitterly laugh in his heart upon discovering the hostility. He had not even said anything, yet he had attracted enmity for no reason. This really caused him to feel a little speechless. Mr. Xiao Yang, Song Qing is a disciple of the first elder of the Pill Tower. Moreover, he is also the youngest elder in the Pill Tower. In the future, he might even become the youngest 8 great elders of the Pill Tower. His ability is not any poorer than yours. Cao Ying rolled her eyes and sweetly smiled. Although Song Qing's face did not visibly change when he heard Cao Ying's words, a faint pride flashed across his eyes. With his achievements, he did indeed possess the capital to be proud. It is really the case of a renowned teacher producing an excellent student. Xiao Yang smiled, but he did not say much. This witch, Cao Ying, had an unpredictable character. If he was careless, he would be toyed with by her. With his character, he was not someone who liked to linger around the opposite sex. Moreover, this Cao Ying was not an ordinary woman. All right, since all of you have gotten to know each other, I shall state my intention of calling all of you here. Xan Kongzi slightly smiled. His gaze slowly swept over the few of them. His eyes appeared to be able to see through their hearts. Even with Xiao Ying's Ivaldo character, she still appeared obedient in front of him. There are still a couple more days until the pill gathering selection, Xan Kongzi spoke in a calm voice. Due to the matter of the 3,000 burning flame, this pill gathering has attracted quite a number of factions. Among them includes members from the Hall of Souls. Hall of Souls? Xiao Ying and the other two knit their brows and softly repeated this name when they heard it. Xiao Yan's eyes slightly flickered, but he did not reply. Due to us having sealed the 3,000 burning flame for a long period of time, it has formed a grudge against the Pill Tower. If it is released, it will definitely attack the Pill Tower in revenge. At that time, the Pill Tower will definitely suffer a great loss, Xan Kongzi softly sighed. This 3,000 burning flame is already quite intelligent after a countless number of years. Moreover, its wildness is difficult to tame. My Pill Tower has used all of our tactics, but we are unable to subdue it. Moreover, due to it gradually absorbing the strength from the stars, our seal is losing its ability to restrain it. Therefore, we must resolve this trouble as soon as possible. The plan of the Hall of Souls this time around is perhaps to capture the 3,000 burning flame. Of course, if they fail to do so, they will destroy the seal and release the 3,000 burning flame. At that time, the Pill Tower will suffer a terrible loss. It would also end up being convenient for them to collect spiritual bodies. The 3,000 burning flame is extremely powerful. Although it is not ranked in the top 5 on the Heavenly Flame ranking, its strength is sufficient to be ranked among them. Xan Kongzi's expression was a little solemn as he spoke. Due to it gathering the strength of the stars, the 3,000 burning flame is equivalent to an indestructible body. Therefore, we can only seal it and not destroy it. Whoever obtains the 3,000 burning flame and subdues it will have the equivalent of an incomparably powerful recovery ability. If this kind of heavenly flame were to fall into the hands of the Hall of Souls, there would definitely be a great amount of trouble. The reason I have called all of you here is because of this. I hope that you will be able to stop the Hall of Souls from obtaining the 3,000 burning flame. The interior of the hall descended into silence as everyone studied Xan Kongzi's grave of expression. A moment later, Xiao Ying finally knit her brows and said, "Teacher, since you are this afraid of the Hall of Souls, why don't you prohibit them from participating? First, we do not know just who among the alchemists participating in the pill gathering are members of the Hall of Souls. Even if we know, it is impossible for us to find any reason to stop them because of the rules of the pill gathering over the generations. As long as one is an alchemist who possesses the qualification to participate, we cannot remove his or her right to do so even if he or she is part of a faction that is an enemy of the Pill Tower. This rule might give one a headache, but it is precisely this inclusive action of the Pill Tower that enabled the Pill Tower to grow to its level today. Therefore, there are some rules that cannot be touched," Xan Kongzi explained somewhat helplessly. Everyone slowly nodded upon hearing his explanation. Xiao Yan himself was sworn enemies with the Hall of Souls. Moreover, he intended to obtain the 3,000 burning flame at all cost. He would naturally not object to this matter. There are still 7 days left before the pill gathering selection will begin. All of you should try your best to stay within the Pill Tower during this period of time. The Hall of Souls might quietly use some tricks in order to obtain the champion spot. Therefore, all of you should be careful, Xan Kongzi instructed. Xiao Yan's group once again nodded. This matter is generally like that. Currently, the only thing you need to do is wait until the pill gathering begins, Xan Kongzi smiled. His warm eyes turned to Xiao Yan. After which, he randomly picked out a scroll from the table and tossed it to Xiao Yan. He said, "I heard that you are quite interested in Ying'er's spiritual handprint. Take it and have a good look. Although this spiritual handprint is not considered something of a very high level, it is also an extremely rare item in the outside world." Xiao Yan received the scroll. Joy flashed across his eyes as he hurriedly cupped his hands together and said, "Thank you, old Xian." "It is only a small matter," Xan Kongzi smiled. After which, he waved his hand at everyone. Xiao Yan's group did not stay any longer upon seeing his dismissal. They bowed before slowly withdrawing from the large hall. Xan Kongzi finally smiled after watching everyone withdraw. He softly said, "Yao Chen, the result of our bet will be determined by whether Xiao Yang or Ying'er will be able to obtain the champion spot this time around. I wonder if you will still be able to beat me this time around?" Xiao Yang did not chat with Xiao Ying and the others after walking out of the large hall. He walked to a path that led to the bottom of the pill tower. "Mr. Xiao Yan, please wait." Xiao Yan had just stepped forward when an enchanting, lovely voice sounded behind him. Hence, he could only stop after taking a step away. He turned his head and looked at the alluring face of Cao Ying. He smiled and asked, "Is something the matter, Miss Cao Ying?" Cao Ying rolled her eyes. At that instant, she appeared extremely bewitching, causing one to have the impulse of not being able to shift one's eyes away. At this moment, she was covering her mouth and slightly laughing. "Last time, I was unable to have a deeper conversation with Mr. Xiao Yan. Why don't we have a chat now that we have time?" Xiao Yan lifted his eyebrows upon hearing Cao Ying open her mouth to issue an invitation. His eyes glanced at Song Qing by her side without leaving a trace. He saw that Song Qing gently frown. "Forget it. There are still other things that I need to do. I will chat with Miss Cao Ying if I have time in the future." Xiao Yan did not want to create enemies after having just entered the pill tower, especially enemies that came as a result of jealousy. Hence, Xiao Yan merely smiled and rejected her offer. Cao Ying's eyes slightly paused when she heard Xiao Yan reject her invitation. Clearly, she had seldom been met with rejection. However, she was not an ordinary person and none of the thoughts in her heart surfaced on her face. She sweetly smiled and said, "That is really a pity. Yinger, since Brother Xiao Yang has said that he has something to do, you should not make things difficult for him. The pill gathering is approaching. Our pill refinement discussion from last time has yet to finish. Why don't we finish it today?" Song Qing by her side laughed. "Cuckoo, in that case, Xiao Yang shall not disturb the two of you. This time around, I might undertake a retreat for a couple of days. I shall chat with all of you when the pill gathering begins." Xiao Yan did not wait for Cao Ying's reply after seeing that Song Qing had joined the conversation. He cupped his hands to the three of them before swiftly turning around and walking toward the path. He really did not want to provoke the unpredictable witch Cao Ying, and that Song Qing did not appear to be an ordinary person. However, from the way Xiao Yang saw it, Cao Ying would sooner or later play with him. Cao Ying's sleek, red, small mouth was slightly widened when she saw Xiao Yang turn around and leave without any hesitation. This fellow was really nice to play with. Other men surrounded her like houseflies. However, Xiao Yang viewed her as a fierce beast from prehistoric times. Interesting. Song Qing felt his heart sink as he watched interest appear on Cao Ying's face. A cold glint, that one had difficulty detecting, flashed across his eyes. During these years of contact between Cao Ying and him, he had viewed her as his exclusive domain. He would definitely not allow another man to contaminate her. From the way he saw it, other than him, who could match her given her outstandingness? Even though Xiao Yang had become the champion of the 5 Great Clans test, Song Qing still didn't completely view him seriously. Regardless of background, talent, or strength, he possessed the qualification to look down those of his generation. If he continued developing, he would definitely become a powerful person within the pill tower. If he became the champion of this pill gathering, his name would be present as a potential successor of the pill tower's giant heads. At that time, just what woman would he not be able to obtain? Xiao Yang, hopefully, you will not be a stone that blocks my path. Otherwise? Song Qing stared at the spot where Xiao Yang's back had disappeared. There was a fierce glint that flashed across his eyes. Xiao Yang was naturally unaware that despite his quick withdrawal, he had still attracted Song Qing's enmity. Moreover, even if he were aware of it, he would helplessly curse him as a fool. Xiao Yang followed the path he had taken from and roamed for nearly an hour around this enormous pill tower before he returned to the living quarters that Elder Cheng had arranged for him. There was quite a bit of traffic within this pill tower. Moreover, all of them were alchemists of the pill tower. There were some true Grandmaster-level individuals among them. It would not be an overstatement to say that this place was filled with hidden talent. Xiao Yang greeted the little fairy doctor and the rest after returning to the living quarters. He then entered his room. After which, he sat on the bed of the room and recuperated. Following which, he clenched his hand and a pale grey scroll appeared in it. It was the scroll that Xan Kongzi had given him earlier. Xiao Yang's hand slowly pulled open the scroll. An invisible ripple spread from it. This ripple was one that Xiao Yang was extremely familiar with. It was something emitted by the spiritual handprint. There was not a single word on the scroll after Xiao Yang opened it. Only some vaguely twisted invisible folds were present. Xiao Yang thought for a moment upon seeing this. After which, he grabbed the scroll and gently placed it on his forehead. An invisible ripple immediately surged after the scroll touched his forehead. Immediately, Xiao Yang sensed a thread of information pour into his head like floodwater. Xiao Yang gently placed the scroll back down after the information had completely swarmed into his head. He began to arrange the somewhat strange flow of information. The cataloging continued for a while before Xiao Yang slowly opened his eyes. A slight flicker appeared within them. This information flow was the soul skill Cao Ying practiced. This thing was called spiritual handprint, and it was also called the spiritual seal. During ancient times, soul skills were similar to Do techniques and had been separated into Tian, Di, Xian, and Huang class. This spiritual handprint was a kind of Xian class high-level soul skill. Although it was not of a very high class, it was not considered bad. Its strength was something Xiao Yang had personally experienced back then. Moreover, this thing was different from a Do technique. Currently, soul skills were extremely rare. When he fought with another, it could catch his opponent off guard. More importantly, this spiritual handprint would gradually allow Xiao Yang to understand how to unleash most of his spiritual strength. He would no longer need to purely rely on the strength of his spiritual strength in order to fight with another like he did in the past. The spiritual handprint was divided into 3 seals. Xiao Yang had secretly learned the first seal from Cao Ying. He had not been able to secretly learn the remaining 2 seals. Fortunately, this scroll contained a complete record of them. This is a soul skill, huh? It does indeed differ when compared to a Do technique. Xiao Yang remained deep in thought for a long time. There were few Do techniques that required a special hand seal, but the usage of this soul skill required the combination of a hand seal. Moreover, one's spiritual strength needed to flow in a certain orbit as it gathered while the hand seals changed. However, all skills ultimately contained the same origin. Soul skills and Do techniques were generally similar to each other. Xiao Yang inhaled a deep breath of air as his mind gradually focused. His hand was slowly extended out. After which, it began to follow the seals in his mind and slowly change. Xiao Yang's hand seals changed very slow. However, his face was filled with a seriousness. Spiritual strength flowed out from between his brows. After which, it acted in combination with his hand seals and aggregated together. Xiao Yang tirelessly displayed the hand seal time and time again within the room. This kind of training might be dull, but it was required. After all, regardless of whether it was a soul skill or a Do technique, the only way to master it was to work hard. Time swiftly flowed by while Xiao Yang was focused in training. Following his steady seal formation, he gradually familiarized himself with the energy fluctuations that gathered around his palm. The limit of soul, shut the heavenly spirit, absorbed the spirit, forged the soul. While Xiao Yang's mind was completely immersed in his training, a faint muttering seemed to be involuntarily emitted from his barely moving mouth. Under this anonymous word formula, the space within the room began to slightly ripple. Immediately wisps of faint spiritual aura quietly seeped out of the space. After which, they slowly entered the spot between Xiao Yang's brows. All of these changes were not discovered by Xiao Yang. The only thing he sensed was the control over his soul becoming smoother following the appearance of the word formula. Even the halting feeling when he was forming the seal had significantly weakened. The interior of the room was silent. Only an extremely quiet sound reverberated through the room. Time flowed by like water. Xiao Yang was unaware that this training of his lasted nearly 10 days. During these 10 days, the humans within Holy Pill City swelled due to the pill gathering that was being held. One could see countless numbers of people flowing around the spacious city. Trouble was naturally unavoidable with the increase of traffic. However, it was fortunate that the Pill Tower was not an ordinary faction. Hence, it maintained order fairly well. Therefore, the worst sort of chaos did not appear. Nevertheless, with the pill gathering approaching by the day, Holy Pill City entered a boiling state. After all, the pill gathering was not only a grand event of the Pill region. It was also a grand event for the Central Plains region. The dream of a countless number of alchemists was to be able to show their best performance within the pill gathering and become a dazzling star among the many people on the continent. Of course, some hidden currents were unavoidable under that boiling atmosphere. This pill gathering was different from the past. Due to the 3,000 burning flame, many factions had dispatched the alchemists under them. From the looks of it, they intended to obtain the 3,000 burning flame. Moreover, the pill gathering this time around would become an arena for a countless number of alchemists to compete using all of the skills that they had learned. All of the training was for this pill gathering. Many alchemists would compete to see who was the best in this pill gathering. Amid this boiling atmosphere in the city, the last day before the pill gathering finally arrived. Only at this moment did a young man, who was seated like a meditating old monk in a room within the pill tower, finally shake. After which, he slowly opened his dark black eyes. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.